Hey everyone, welcome to Lilybug's Library. My name's Linda. So this is part 2 of 25 in 2025. This one's going to be about 25 new series that I'm planning to start in 2025. So we'll get started in a moment here. I'm just I got a lot of notes. I'll try not to drag on the descriptions too long, but sometimes I feel like the way the descriptions are written, you kind of almost have to read the whole thing just because you feel like you're missing something if you don't. That's just me. And I was hoping to get this out yesterday, but I was in so much pain yesterday, so it just wasn't happening. I barely moved off the couch. So a little better day so far today, so we'll hope for the best. I have a dentist appointment later, so I at least have to make it to that. The series is called Her Majesty Investigates, and it's by C.J. Bennett. So basically, it's all about Queen Elizabeth and how she ends up investigating these murders, which I think is just kind of a interesting, quirky sort of premise for a series. So I'm kind of interested to see where they take it and how I feel about it. So with this one, apparently there was she was having a dinner party at Windsor Castle, and one of the guests ends up dead with a rope around his neck. And so the police start to look at her loyal servants, and she realizes it's not one of them. They wouldn't do that. So then she starts living a double life, investigating murders. So I thought that was really cute and just something totally different than anything I've read. So yeah, I'm excited to start that one. The next one, I mean, the cover alone is enough to pull me in. It's the Magical Maine Mystery Series by Stella Bixby. And the first one is called Downward Death. And that cute little piglet on the front, it's, just makes my heart leap. It's like, I just love those little cute animals. So with this one, it's about Ellie Vanderwick. And it says she doesn't have friends, family, or a steady job, but she does have her pet pig, Penelope, and her VW microbus, Mona. So it's like, that sounds pretty cute. Sounds kind of 60s, right? You got your pig and you got your microbus and you're all set. So she gets a letter from her grandmother who is newly passed away, and telling her she inherited a farm. And apparently her mother left her at a fire station when she was an infant. So I guess, I don't know if she was brought up by her grandmother or what exactly happened there. But she wants to find out some interesting things. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Something technical happened. We had technical difficulties, so we'll just continue. When Ellie arrives at the farm that her grandmother left her, she finds a dead body in her cornfield. And the entire town thinks she did it. So it sounds like that's not a really good way to start in a new town, so we'll see where that goes. The next one I've heard a lot of good things about. It's the Grilled Cheese Mysteries by Linda Riley. And the first one is Up to No Gouda. And this one is about Carly, who is pursuing her lifelong dream and opens Carly's Grilled Cheese Eatery. So that sounds good. And then says she ended up having a fight with someone, and the person is discovered dead behind the dumpster of her shop. And one of her employees becomes the prime suspect. So that she ends up having to try and help them out. So that one sounds great as well. And I assume somewhere in there, there's probably that little dog that's on the cover. So, bonus for that. So the next one is the Joe McCullen Cozy Mystery Series by Tanya Taylor. And this one is about a priest. So he's Father Joe McCullen. And it says he's no ordinary priest. He has a heart of gold, but he's no pushover. And so it says very little passes his ears or his eyes, and he can smell a rat a mile away. So that one kind of reminds me of like Father Brown or Sister Boniface that are on Acorn or BritBox, one of those. And I really enjoy those. So I'm hopeful for that one. The next one's a little different. It's called The Myrtlewood Crones by Iris Beaglehole. And it's about Delilah Spark. It says she's caught in the middle of a maelstrom. Her former life as a London theatre director is on the brink of implosion amid a scandalous divorce, a tarnished reputation, and for reasons she cannot fathom, things keep spontaneously combusting around her. It says her 60s were supposed to be peaceful, but now even her grown daughter won't return her calls. So she moves to this remote village of Myrtlewood and she starts to discover that maybe she has some magic she didn't realize she had. So that one sounds interesting. And something about the cover, it just looks very, I don't know, very magical. So I thought it would be interesting to try. The next one is the Apron Shop series by Elizabeth Penny. And I confess I pulled this one in because I really love aprons. I know they've, probably are considered old fashioned, but I just love the designs on some of them. And it's really hard to, at least where I live, to find really nice aprons. And when you do, it's usually like the short ones that just tie around your waist and hang down from like the waist to your knees. I like the ones that like cover your whole body because I'm messy when I cook. So those ones are good. My grandchildren have made me some with like their handprints and things on it, which are great. And I really, I've been thinking I need a nice Christmassy one. So I don't know. We'll see. They're like I said, they're hard to find. But in this one, Iris Buckley, it says, is so ready for a change, SEW. So her grandfather has died, and Iris decides to return to her hometown to help out her grandmother, Anne, and decides to bring her online handmade apron designs to an actual brick and mortar store. So she calls it Ruffles and Bows. And she's set up some studio for sewing groups and classes, and she has a friendly orange cat, and or maybe her grandmother does. It doesn't really explain. The only thing that's wrong with it all is apparently there's a skeleton in the basement. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't know if I assume it's a real skeleton, but I think it'll be cute to hear about the apron shop and the different things that go on. And I'm hoping that her and her grandmother have a good relationship in the book and that we get a lot from her grandmother too. I think that would be sweet. So the next one is called A Cookies and Chance Mystery Series by Catherine Bruns, Bruns. I guess that's Bruns. And excuse me. And the first one is called Tastes Like Murder. And it says Sally Muccio had her crosses to a cheating ex-boyfriend, crazy Italian parents, and an unfaithful husband, just to name a few. So after her divorce, she returns to her hometown to start a novelty cookie shop. So the specialty are fortune cookies served with a sprinkle of foreshadowing. Okay. So there's no warning when her ex-husband's mistress drops dead on Sal's porch, and the police confirm it's a homicide. So, of course, you know who's going to get blamed for that, right? It's either going to be the ex-husband or her, so we'll see. So the next one is called The Peppermint Cookie Murder. So this one's by Trixie Silvertail, and it's that's the name of the first book. Now the series is called The Christmas Catastrophe Mysteries. And I'm okay reading Christmas books when it's not Christmas, so if they're all about Christmas, I'm fine with that. So it says, when Santa's daughter leaves the North Pole on a baking quest, will her sweet dreams turn fatally sour? So Cindy Claus is excited to open her own bakery. She's determined to pursue her passion and have her holiday treats prove she's more than a Yuletide heir. But before she can whisk up a success, her roommate is murdered, and Cindy is the prime suspect. I wonder who her roommate was. Whether it's, a North Pole type person, like a elf or something. I don't know. Anyway, I thought that one sounded sweet and great, this time of year especially. So the next one is a Sophie Kimball mystery by J.C. Eaton, and it's called Booked for Murder, the first one. And it says Sophie Kimball is not a cop. She's a divorced middle-aged mom who works as an account clerk for the police department in a small city in Minnesota. But her retired mother, Harriet, is convinced Fee is the only one who can solve the mystery of a cursed book. According to Harriet, 4 members of her book club have already succumbed to the deadly curse. All right, so that sounds interesting. Says her mom, I guess, has a new pet, a long-haired Chiweenie, which I guess is half Chihuahua, half Dachshund, for company, and a host of pals, although that number is dwindling. So it's up to Sophie to try and find what's going on with her mom's book club and who's killing them off. So that one sounds good. And I love anything with a book club or library or bookstore. I mean, those are all great premises. So the next one is by Rosie Reed, and it's called The Cat Cafe Magical Mysteries. So it says, working at a cat cafe seemed just her cup of tea until a lethal blend of magic and murder brewed up trouble. So she's a novice witch named Amber, and she's back in her hometown of Windsor after her dream job as a London journalist turned into a nightmare. So she's hoping for a nice peaceful time, but a guest at her aunt's cat cafe dies in the middle of lunch. The police claim murder, and she's a suspect. So these women have a hard time keeping themselves out of trouble. So the next one is Murder on Devil's Pond, and it's by Isla Rose. And I like the cover, the way it's kind of purpley and almost like Twilight. So it says, when 33-year-old Hannah Solis returns to her hometown to renovate and reopen the inn she co-owns with her sister Reggie, her mission is to give the old Victorian hotel an entirely new life. She's even planting pollinator gardens around the inn, native flowers and fruit trees to lure honeybees and house guests alike. Hannah's fresh start is stymied by Reggie's continual interference, unreliable contractors, a check the couch for coins budget, and townspeople that Hannah left behind 15 years ago. Her main source of camaraderie is Ezra Grayson, an 80-year-old recluse who lives nearby. So she has a conversation with him, and then she's horrified to discover him dead later on her property. So that sounds interesting, and that sister vibe should be something cool as well. Just because sometimes when they write about sisters, sometimes they get along, sometimes they don't. So be interesting to see where that goes. So the next one, excuse me. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my voice these days. So the next one is a Northwoods mystery series by Annie McEwen, and the first one's called Resort to Murder. And minus the murder, I would love to stay at that resort. I mean, it's got the big dog, and it's got the cozy chair by the fire, and looks like a great place to spend the winter. So it says, when Emmy Cooper's life in Chicago is turned upside down, the young interior designer retreats to her family's Lake Cottage resort in the beautiful Wisconsin Northwoods for a much-needed break. Well, that's not going to happen. So, unfortunately, her homecoming isn't as calm as she hoped when Emmy finds out a ruthless development company is relentlessly pursuing Lake Covington's property owners, including Emmy's family. So they're trying to get them to sell the land so they can build an extravagant modern resort. And things only get worse when Emmy finds the dead body of one of the developers floating in the lake. Whew. So those developers, I don't know. It's not a good time to be a developer in a cozy mystery. It never goes well. So the next one is a cupcake bakery mystery by Jen McKinley, and the first one is called Sprinkle with Murder. And it says Melanie and Angie are living out their dream as the proud owners of Fairy Tale Cupcakes. But their first big client is a nightmare. She's a bridezilla who wants 500 custom cupcakes for her wedding. That's what always scares me when I think about opening any kind of a bakery or anything like that, is like those sort of customers. And it's like, ah. So it says, when Mel stumbles upon the bride-to-be dead by cupcake, she becomes the prime suspect. To save themselves and their business, the ladies need to find the real murderer. So, dead by cupcake. Well, I think I could probably think of worse ways to go. So the next one I love the cover of, and it's very magical looking, and I can't really tell. I think it's maybe butterflies I'm seeing. The picture's a little bit small in what I'm looking at, so I'm not sure if that's what it is, but it just looks very kind of spooky and interesting. So it's a Veronica Speedwell mystery by Deanna Rayborn. And this one is historical. It says London 1887. As the city prepares to celebrate Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee, Victoria Speedwell is marking a milestone of her own. After burying her spinster aunt, orphan Veronica is free to resume her world travels in pursuit of scientific inquiry and the occasional romantic dalliance. As familiar with hunting butterflies as with fending off admirers, okay, so they are butterflies, Veronica wields her butterfly net and a sharpened hat pin with equal aplomb, and with her last collection to England gone, she intends to embark on the journey of a lifetime. And then it goes on how fate has other plans for her, and she gets mixed up with this German baron, and looks like he's plotting against her. And then there's another friend of his called Stoker, which reminds me of Bram Stoker, the Dracula, the vampire. Thank you. So anyway, it talks about those things and how she ends up on the run. So I don't know where this one kind of is going to go, and I don't know if I'll like it, but it sounds interesting. So the next one I'm really looking forward to, just because I'm such a sucker for cute. This one is the Shamelessly Adorable Teddy Bear Mysteries by Meg Macy, and the first one is called Barely Departed. So it says the Silver Bear Shop and Factory might be the cutest place around, but there's nothing warm and fuzzy about murder. So it's about Sasha Silverman, and she's running this store, and then there's Will Taylor. He's a sales rep who wants to make drastic changes to her building in her business. And then before he digs his claws in, his dead body is found inside the factory, and so it's up to her to find out what happened to him, because otherwise she's going to get accused of murder. So it's so different. Like I don't think I've read anything that had any kind of a toy factory or a store or anything. So I love the thought of like them making teddy bears and things, and I just think it's very very sweet. So interested to read that one. So the next one is called Hostile Talkover. So it's Street Food Cozies by Gretchen Allen, and that's the name of the first book. So it says Billy Halifax is not only new to Sea Glass Island, Florida, but also to the food truck business. So her first task is to find a manager for the initial truck. So she narrows it down to 3 potential candidates from a local culinary school. They'll show off their skills, and she'll pick the best of the best for her first truck, Taco the Town. And so she's off to a bit of a rocky start, having to deal with a cranky business partner she didn't even know she had. And things go from bad to worse when one of the contestants is found dead and the other 2 are at the top of the suspect list. That doesn't sound like a very good start to trying to find someone to run your business, does it? But again, that's another one. I know there's a couple of food truck mysteries out there, I guess, but tacos, food truck, I don't know, sounds great to me. I'm in for it. So the next one is called The Farmer's Daughter Mysteries by Peg Cochran. And the first book is called No Farm, No Fowl. So it's, ow, 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 sorry. My cat apparently wants up, but he needs his nails cut desperately. And so every time he tries to get up, he's clawing me. He does have a vet appointment later this week, so I'll get the vet to do it. But he's a bit spoiled. So where was I? So on her blog, The Farmer's Daughter, Shelby McDonald is growing her audience and working the farm as well. So working the farm is demanding but peaceful until the minister's wife is murdered on Shelby's property during a fundraiser for the local church. Oh my. Okay, so that's definitely not the way you want to start out somewhere, having the minister's wife murdered. So interesting to see where they go with that one and what the series is like. So I think that'll be kind of just something a little different. So the next one is called Molly McRae. Come Shell or High Water is the first book, and it's the Haunted Shell Shop Mysteries. So it says, as a professional storyteller, Maureen Nash can't help but see the narrative cues woven through her life, like the series of letters addressed to her late husband from a stranger. He or she is the proprietor of the Moonshell, a shop on um, Ocracoke Island. Okay, I don't know if that's a real place or not. Off the coast of North Carolina. The store is famous with shell collectors, but it's the cryptic letters from Alan Withrow, the shop's owners, that convince Maureen to travel to the small coastal town in the middle of hurricane season. Oh, yeah, great. At the very least, she expects she'll get a good story out of the experience, never anticipating it could end up a murder mystery. Wow. So, North Carolina during hurricane season. I think we've seen in the past few months that that could be a little dangerous. So, I don't like obviously storms in real life or people being hurt, but as far as something to read about when it's fiction, sometimes having a big storm that also involves a murder mystery can be really intriguing and really kind of pull you in because it's almost like that closed door sort of mystery because with the storm raging, no one can get out. So I like that. So the next one is A Southern Sisters Mystery by Anne George. And the first one is called Murder on a Girl's Night Out. Murder on a Girl's Night Out. There we go. So this one is about Patricia Ann, who apparently is called Mouse, and Mary Alice, sister. And so the two of them are find themselves in the center of some of Birmingham's most unfortunate unpleasantness. So country western is red hot these days, so over impulsive Mary Alice thinks it makes perfect sense to buy the Scootin' Boot Bar. I just love that. Scootin' Boot. Okay. So that's where many times divorced sister and her boyfriend du jour like to hang out anyway. So sensible retired school teacher Patricia Ann is inclined to disagree when they find a strangled and stabbed dead body dangling in the pub's wishing well. Oh my goodness. All right, well, someone apparently did a little too much scooting and booting, I guess. All right, let go, me. Let go. Oh my goodness, you are a force to be reckoned with today. Down you go. Okay, so we're getting there. It's like amazing how long it takes to go over 25 books. Um, as we get to 2026 and 2027, we may have to stop this, sort of thing. But for now, we'll keep going. So the next one is A Soup Lover's Mystery by Connie Archer, and it's called A Spoonful of Murder. When Lucky Jameson inherits her parents' soup shop by the spoonful, she realizes it's time to take stock of her life. Should she sell her parents' house or move in herself? Does she really want to run a restaurant business? And what about her grandfather Jack, who seems to be showing signs of Alzheimer's? But her life decisions are moved to the back burner after an icy blonde tourist is frozen to death behind the soup shop. Mm. And Lucy is bowled over when her soup chef, Sage Dubois, is led out of the kitchen by the police. Uh-oh. All right, well, and can't you just, why are there no soup shops? I mean, that sounds like a great idea. I mean, or soup and sandwiches or something. I know one that at least started out that way. I don't know if it's still even in business, but I think that sounds like a great idea for a business. I guess the hard part would be in the summer, right? I mean, what do you do for soup in the summer? I mean, I know there's some chilled soups, but I don't know. Kind of loses the coziness if it's chilled, I think. So the next one is by Alex Erickson, and it's called Death by Coffee series, I think. um, the first book is called Death by Coffee, so I'm not sure if that's the name of the series or not, but we're going to say it is for this moment. When Chrissy Hancock and her best friend Vicky decide to open a bookstore cafe in their new town of Pine Hills, they decide to call it Death by Coffee, after Chrissy's father's most famous mystery novel. Little do they know how well the name fits. On their very first day of business, Brendan Lawyer huffily takes his coffee to the grave. It seems he has a severe allergy to peanuts. But how could there have been nuts in his coffee, and who stole his emergency allergy medication? Oh, okay. So that I think that's the very first in the series, and by that I mean I'm not sure if there's any more in the series yet, which is also probably why I am not sure of the name of the series. But anyway, sounds good. The next one looks a little different, and I think it's maybe just the cover. I'm not sure what makes me think it's different, but it's called Arsenic in the Azaleas, and it's The Lovely Lethal Gardens by Dale Mayer. And maybe it's the premise of it that seems different to me, but and really unique. So this one says after her ex-husband leaves her high and dry, former socialite Doreen Montgomery's chance at a new life comes in the form of her grandmother Nan's dilapidated old house in picturesque Kelowna. So it takes place in Canada. And the added job of caring for the animals Nan couldn't take into assisted living with her. Thaddeus, the loquacious, anyway, African gray parrot with a ripe vocabulary, and his buddy Goliath, a monster-sized cat with an equally monstrous attitude. Oh my, I don't think I'd want either one of those pets. It's the new start Doreen and her beloved basset hound Muggs desperately need. But just as things start to look up for Doreen, Goliath the cat and Muggs the dog find a human finger in Nan's overrun garden. And not just a finger. Once the police start digging, the rest of the body turns up. Uh-oh. So, I guess it's, were they planted there, or was Nan doing a little something on the side? Like, who knows, right? Okay, so we're getting there. We've got 3 more left. So the next one is a Happy Camper Mystery by Mary Angela. And the first one is called Open for Murder. So it says, deep in the heart of touristy small town Spirit Canyon, South Dakota, former journalist Zoe Jones, it says Zoe, said O, but I don't know, never heard of Zoe as a name. Zoe, but not Zoe. But anyway, we'll say Zoe. Runs the Happy Camper gift shop where she sells everything from locally made souvenirs to memorabilia. She even rents out mountain bikes and dabbles in the adventure industry and sleuthing. It's Memorial Day weekend, and for Zoe, that means the return of summer shoppers. It also means the return of her good friend Beth, who moved back to the area to reopen her family's premier hotel. So it says they spent many summers there, and they like to reconnect and all of those things. But the festivities go from bad to worse when a power outage knocks out the lights and morning reveals a competitor's dead body found on the premises. Boy, don't you hate that, right? Yeah, open a shop and next thing you know, the competitors are dead on your doorstep. All right, so the next one is called A Brush with Murder by Donna Clancy. That's the first in the Paint and Sip Cozy Mysteries. And it says, retirees and wine lovers Janelle Brewster and Anita Prowell decide to combine their love of painting and crafts with their appreciation of wine and share it with their local community. They're certain that their newly opened venue, Paint and Sip, will be a hit for locals who are looking for a tasty and fun night out on the town. When a body is discovered in the parking lot behind the Paint and Sip, however, a delivery man with a jaded past comes under scrutiny. So they're going to investigate that murder. And I feel like maybe, I'm almost positive that there are some places around that do those sort of things, right? Not the murder, but like a paint and sip sort of thing. I've been to one years ago where we painted something. I don't remember if there was wine involved though. But I think some of them are similar to that. I mean, I guess you'd have to be careful with that just because, everybody has to have a way home too. So anyway, it sounds like it would be a neat kind of business idea. So the next one and the last one, is by Ellie Alexander, and it's a secret bookcase mystery. And the first one is called The Body in the Bookstore. So it says, bookseller Annie Murray is thrilled when the mystery-themed book festival she sets up to revive the dwindling fortunes of her workplace and sanctuary seem poised for success. But events take a shocking turn when a body is discovered hidden behind the shelves, and it's revealed that the victim is Annie's old college acquaintance. Determined to ensure the festival's success and save the small town of Redwood Grove from a killer, Annie begins piecing together clues with the help of her friends. All right, so another bookstore type mystery, which, like I said, I really do love, so that'll be fun. So there is 25 books that are series that I'm planning on starting in 2025. So, my husband kind of looked at me, wonderful husband looked at me this morning as though I'd, maybe lost my mind because I've got 25 series I want to continue and 25 series that I am going to start. And, you know, in amongst all that coziness, I'm also going to want to read romance and historical fiction and classics and throw all those in there. I don't know how I'm going to do all that, but that's my goal for 2025. So it's good to have goals, right? So that's it for me today. Thank you for watching, and I'd love to hear your comments below if you've read any of these series and think that some of them are really good, or even if some of them aren't good and you want to tell me that, I'm okay with that too. So would love to hear your comments on that. And meanwhile, I guess I will shine up my pearly whites and get ready to go to the dentist. Talk to you soon, friends. Bye bye.